Hello everybody, welcome to our fourth part in the tutorial on clean code in Angular using AngularX Component Store. In this part we will talk about effects and memoization. Let's get to it. Let's see where we left last time. We have our list of users with the shiny buttons that pops up whenever we select something. We can clear selection, we can filter by selection, we can filter by string, remove selections, and we cannot delete yet. Maybe we will do it now. So to use effects are used to handle asynchronous API calls. So if we want to replace this static list with something from an API, we need to use an effect. I set up a mock API using this service, mockapi.io. So this is our mock API with the users. We have a get method and a delete method. Maybe if we have time we use it, but for sure we will use the get method. Right. As you can see, we already have something that's getting logged, because I actually implemented the methods in the user service and I'm console logging it. Let's have a look at it. User service. There you go. We have a list method that also accepts like criteria for searching, pagination, sorting, etc. Let's try to implement it. First of all, we need to prepare our component to handle loading state. So we need to display a spinner in case data is still loading. And then we also need to prepare it for the case in which the array of user is empty. I already prepared some snippets here in the user list. So let's say that ng if it's not loading, and so if we have some users and it's not loading, then we display the list. Then oops. Oh. Right. Then if it's not loading but we don't have users, we will display a message. Whereas if it is loading, we will display a spinner. Okay. We have a new input. Let's propagate it to the container and to the store. Oops. Loading. Right. All right. Okay. And in the store. So this was the container. Now in the store. In the store, this is gonna be part of the state. So observable of type boolean state select this select, that's why this select state dot is loading, doesn't exist, let's create it, is loading is a boolean, and let's initialize it. All right, so we have is loading. So our component is ready now. So we are ready also for implementing our first effect. Okay, how to do that? Is NGRX component store documentation. Let's grab an example effect. There you go. Let's rename it list users. So it's going to be this effect, and it's going to take something as a parameter. Okay, it can be an observable or some values. And we know that our service method will take some criteria, like pagination and things like that, that have a specific type defined in the user service is list criteria. It's gonna have like sort by order, search, limit, page. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this criteria, we pipe it, and we switch map it to our user service. Service.list criteria, and we pipe it again, and then we take the response. What are we gonna do with the response? Okay, we're gonna use the response. First of all, before the response, we need to set the loading to true. We're gonna start our spinner. So this patch state. Okay. Right, it's loading, we set it to true. Then we take the criteria, we pass it to the user service, that will make a HTTP call, and then we wait for the response. When we get the response, what are we gonna do? We're gonna patch the state. First of all, we're gonna put the spinner to off. So it's loading false. Then hopefully we're gonna get some users. So we're gonna patch the users too. And users are gonna be in the field results of the response. The response also is gonna have a count, so we can patch also the property of the state. Okay, we don't have the count property. Let's add it in a second on the fly. Count is a number. Count is a number, and we need to initialize it. Count 0. Right. Okay. So we have response, and we set the loading to false. We populate the users, and we populate the count. Then, what if there is an error in our HTTP call? Well, I think it's a good idea if we patch the state, setting the value of an error state property with the message of the error. A message. Okay. Dispatch state message, or let's just pass it to the whole error. Okay, the whole error. We can say just like this, more compact. Right, we don't have this property of the state. Let's do it on the fly. Error type any. I don't remember what type is an error. I don't want to make assumptions about it. Error any. Okay, and we need to initialize it. error is null. Okay. Right, so if we get an error, we will patch state and we'll set the error. And this is the error of our service method, okay? That our service method, if it catches an error, by the way, I put a delay here so we can see this, we can appreciate the wonderful spinner. If it catches an error, then it will console log it, and it will give us, it will throw an error with this message. So we can actually make assumption that there will always be this message here. Yeah, we could make an assumption that there is an error message always. But anyway, it's too late. We say this is going to be like the whole error, so it's okay. Otherwise, if there is an error in here, we're gonna give back an empty observable. Let's remove these comments. Okay, quick recap. List user is a callable function that we can call with either an observable or some static values. They will be transformed in an observable that NGRX will pipe. We will set the loading to true. Then there will be a switch map. We take the criteria and we pass it to the user service. That will call the API with our criteria. If we get a response, we will patch the state setting loading to false, populating the users and the count. If we got an error, we will populate an error field in our state. Right. So how are we gonna use it? We're gonna use it in the container. First of all, now we can get rid of our hard-coded users. And after initializing the state, we can call it this store list users, and we need to pass it some criteria that we have here. Yeah, some mock criteria. Okay. So when we call it, again, when we call it, we will pass the criteria, we will set the loading to true, and the criteria will be used to call the service list method. If we get a response, we set loading to false, we populate the users, the count. If there is an error, we populate the error field. Everything should work. Let's see. Moment of truth. Oh, there are no users. I think I didn't link properly the is loading. Here. Yes, it's loading. I put it in the wrong component. I put it in the action panel. It should be in the list. Okay. Right. Sorry about that. There you go. Loading through, fetching data, data fetched, and everything is working as before. Great. Now we have a problem because we are calling this statically. So, but I want this to react to the criteria, and as I said again, I can also pass observable to the effect. That if you look at it, it seems like it's returning an observable, but trust me, this is actually returning a subscriber. So we cannot actually grab this inner observable, unfortunately. But likely we can pass it an observable. So if we create this criteria observable, then we can call our list user effect, passing it the observables, criteria observable, so that when we update that criteria, this will be executed automatically. So let's create the criteria observable. It's going to be a property of the state, criteria of type list criteria. selector, criteria is of type this criteria, and we need to initialize it with these values here. Okay, so now we can grab it here. So, oops, criteria, store criteria. Okay. And so we can pass here the observable. I know it looks weird. It is weird, but it is actually how it works. Let's see if we break anything. No, it all works as before. But now, let's try to patch the criteria, okay? And let's see if it updates it. So, set timeout. Let's wait 5 seconds. Criteria is gonna be. We're gonna search for something. Goodwin. Okay. So let's search for Goodwin. Good. Okay. After 5 seconds. Yes, you see? So now initial fetch. Then now we are just changing the criteria. And as you see, when I change the criteria, the effect will be retriggered automatically because we linked it to the observable. Excellent. Okay. Now let's try to modify this criteria from the front end. In our user action, I already prepared some boilerplate. So we're gonna have a new mat sort with all the fields like we can sort and a pagination. Let's see how it looks. Okay, not too bad, could be worse. And the pagination here. But first, let's make sure like our search is still working. No, our search is not working anymore. Why? Because this was built to work on a in-memory list of users. So how do we fix that? How do we fix that? Let's see. Let me think. Okay. Basically, our search term now lives inside the criteria and it's called search. It's in our list criteria. It's called search. So whenever before we were updating the search term, we need to change this to actually we need to take the current criteria. Const current criteria equal that. Okay, and then we patch the state with the criteria. Okay, the same strategy can be applied here. Then when we update the search term, search is gonna be search, and we're gonna update criteria. Okay. Then another thing is happening to our filtered users, that we're not filtering in memory by search term anymore, so we don't need this anymore. We don't need this. We don't need this. So what are we gonna return when we switch to filter type search? We're gonna return still the users, because the users are gonna be fetched on the backend. I'm gonna be filtered on the backend. So right, this all should work. Also, we don't need anymore to have a dedicated search term, but this search term we still need it for resetting the search field, but it has to come from inside the criteria. So there you go. Now all should work. Oops! Oh, now all should work again. Okay. Oops! Argument type. All right, the initialization. Search term doesn't exist anymore. Okay. Right, let's look for Gutkowski. There you go, Gutkowski. If I reset it, right, great, it's working again. Okay, so the search now is hooked up. Let's hook up also the sorting and pagination. Let's start with sorting. Let's see what event this is gonna give us. So we are on the users action. What event do I have? Okay, sort changed. Sort changed, console log event. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Here we have it. Active and direction. Right, so let's emit this. So this is gonna be event of type active string direction string. Say this. Okay. Now let's propagate it. Right, what are we gonna do with the sort? In our list criteria, we need to transform this active and direction in our list criteria terminology. Let me see again, how was it? Oops. What is not a function? On the sort. Are you sure I copy pasted? Oh yeah, I'm not console logging anymore. Sorry guys. Active and direction is as or dash. Yeah, I think it's compatible. Okay. So what am I gonna do with this sort here? I need to do this patch state. Actually, I need to grab the current criteria. And then I'm gonna say that criteria dot sort by is gonna be equal to event.active and direction order is gonna be event dot direction, and I'm gonna touch state criteria. Okay, let's see if anything works. Now it's by date. Let's do it by name. Yeah, seems to be working. I have A, then I have a V. Let's try by surname. A, B, 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 B. Yes, seems to be working. Yes, email. Yes, 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 yes. In case you're still not understanding how it works, is that sorry guys, it's difficult to understand what I should explain and what not. But basically now with the sort, we are grabbing the event, no? So we are changing the criteria by changing the sort property and the order property according to the event we received. And then we're gonna do patch state to criteria. What's gonna happen? The criteria is gonna emit with the new values. There you go, because we have a selector. Okay. And who is listening to this? Our effect. That is gonna take the criteria and is gonna switch map it to the user list service. Why is he listening to criteria? Because we told him to listen to the criteria. How? We told him to listen to the criteria. When we passed it, we activated it with the criteria observable. This is why it is reacting. Okay? I am patching the state of the criteria and the effect gets triggered. Patching the state of the criteria and the effect gets triggered. Okay? Good. Now, let's also implement the pagination and then we can consider this done. Right, pagination. Okay, pagination, how does it work? Length is gonna be our count. Then page size is gonna be our limit. Okay, and then what is the event here? Page. It's gonna be page changed event. Okay. Let's move this console log here. All right, and we need to add two new input here. One is limit, and it's a number, and one is called limit and count. And also is a number. Okay. Let's propagate this to the store. So we have limit number. Sorry, I forgot to say. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. Limit and count. Limit and count. Okay. And this we're gonna pass it here. Okay. And in our container, this would be limit count. And where are we going to take this limit and count from? The same thing that we did for the search term. We're going to do it for limit and count because there are things that are inside the criteria, so we're going to extract it from there. Oops. Not like in this. So this is limit, criteria, limit, and count is not inside the criteria. Count is actually another property. What is type number? Oh, we already have count. Okay. Great. All right. So let's see if it works. Yes, because our user are exactly 49. So this is telling us, but it's still nothing is happening. Okay. Still nothing is happening. We need to create the update. We need to react to the event. Now, how was the event? I console logged it. Right. Length, page index, page size, previous page index. So page index. So we need to take this page index and we need to give it a +1 and pass it to the page parameter in the criteria. So let's propagate it from user action component, page index. let's say this emit page index dot emit event page index. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, here now component. Store the page index plus 1. And here we can have a update page. The page is a number. This patch state criteria, and the criteria still we're gonna take it like this with a get method, but this time we're gonna change page. All right, now let's see if it works. It seems to be working. Oh yes, it is working. Yes, perfect and amazing. It is all working. But what if we have an error? Okay, what if we have an error? Let's trigger an error. Let's go in our user service, and instead of using the right URL, let's use messed up URL. So this we get an error. Oh, here we go. You see, like nothing is happening here. Why? Why nothing is happening? Because when we basically we are here, we switch map to the list method of the user service. We got an error, and we only patch the state error. We also need to set the loading to false. It's loading to false. And we got an error. So now the spinning should stop. That's it. Yeah. How do we use this error? We use the patch state and created a property here, error. So in our component, we can take it, error equal this store dot error, but we want to pipe it and filter only the values that are not nulls. Okay. Once we have it, we can display, for example, a snack bar. So this error dot pipe take until this unsubscribe. which we don't have. So let's create it. Change this one. It's just to unsubscribe. Okay, so this error pipe take until this unsubscribe dot subscribe error. We can inject the snack bar, private snack bar okay. Error this snack bar the open idle message close and a duration it's for 2 seconds. Oh, 2 seconds and a half. Okay, so what happened? Whenever there is an error, we will take it, subscribe to it, and open a snack bar just to give the user some feedback. Oh, look at this, yeah. So, there you go. Right, something bad happened. Please try again later. Excellent. So, whenever you have an error, an effect, this is the way to handle the error. Whenever there is an error, you patch the state with loading false and an error, which is a property of the state that you import in your container, error, subscribe to it, and then you do whatever with it. Okay, in this case, I display a snack bar. Let's remove the the error, artificial error here. Okay, and now let's talk about something else like memoization. I don't think we're gonna handle the delete. Let's just talk about memoization for a second, because I wanted to mention a few things. Okay, so we know that basically there is a distinct until change inside our select. So basically, if we have simple values like boolean, string, or numbers, they will not emit unless they changed, and this is a good memoization strategy. But it will not work if we have an object or if we have an array. So object and array, we need to have different strategies. That can be different ones. So for example, we could, because these are observable, we can always like pipe and do a distinct until changed and implement here our custom function. Okay, that would be a strategy. Or we can select, for example, if this was an object with ID, we could have selected the ID and just checked the ID with the previous or current. Another strategy that we're going to use for our criteria is to deconstruct and reconstruct the criteria, because if you think about it, criteria is an object with all these properties. So it will, if I patch it and the value is still the same that it was before, it will still emit. And if, for example, now every time the criteria changes, I have an API call. So I want to make sure that I only change it when there is an actual change in the values. Okay, and now this is not guaranteed. If I use this criteria here, it's not guaranteed because I might patch it and they are exactly the same values. It will bypass this thing until change, and I will do like an expensive API call that it was not needed. So I'm going to deconstruct it to its single properties, because their properties, they have single simple values and they will behave, like search will not emit twice with the same value, limit will not emit twice with the same value. Okay, so I'm gonna deconstruct it. So what do we have? I forgot. We have search, we have limit, search limit. We need the page, order by, and sort by. Okay. Okay. Page is a number. Sort by is a string. And order, I think so. Oh, it's a string also. Where is it? So we have search, limit, page, order, and sort by. Great, we have them all. So all of these will emit only when there is a change. Okay? So I deconstructed them. If I want to have one single object again, but this time will only emit when any of these actually changed, I can have a combined selector that I can call maybe distinct criteria. Okay, and this will be is still an observable of criteria. What type list criteria? This select, and I'm gonna grab them. This search term. This page. This limit. This sort by, and this order. Okay, I'm gonna take the values. So search, page, limit, sort by, order, and I'm gonna return search, page, limit, sort by, order. There you go. Now, this distinct criteria will only emit, I can be confident that we only emit if there is an actual change. So to our effect, instead of making him react to criteria that is not memoized, let's say, I can make it react to the distinct criteria. Distinct criteria, restore distinct criteria. Okay, and this will be this is a kind of elegant strategy. Then another thing, like for the arrays, because a lot of our logic uses length, and this will be calculated will be calculated every time the array is updated, but the length also is a single property, so there will be like a distinct until changed. So I could say, for example, um, I could create a derived a combined observable for the length. So, for example, selected length channel observable and number. This dot select this selected users selected dot length. Okay, so that whenever I need to use it, like for example here, instead of taking the selected user that might react too many times, I can choose directly the selected dot length, selected length, and use it like so. Oops, and selected length like this. No, God. No, in this case, I couldn't do it. In this case, I couldn't do it because I needed the selected users. Okay, let's see where can I use it. Selected dot length, selected user dot length. Yeah, I use it here. So instead of selected users, I can take selected length, selected length, selected length. Okay, and so on. So these are just to be sure that you are mindful about how your state react, because you need to be in control of it. Okay, and avoid unnecessary computation. It is important. So I hope you enjoyed it. Now we have also our nimble effect. We didn't make in time to implement the delete, but it's gonna be the same. You're gonna have a delete event, and you're gonna pass it into the delete effect that will take the event will be delete ID. Sorry, the user ID. So the effect will take the ID. It will patch the state loading true. It will take the ID. It will do user.service.delete user ID, and then it will do the same. Okay, maybe when you get it, then you can also re-trigger our list user. But I'm sorry, guys, and I really don't have time. I think we'd done enough for today. I'm not sure I will have time to do another session with this because I'm really busy at the moment. But I hope you enjoyed it. I did. It was really worth it to spend time to investigate on the NGRX component store because it's an amazing library that really solves a lot of problems. I'm really happy of how you can code with it and how clean the code is at the end. Like really minimal. Like, can you believe it? There is like no logic. Okay, there is like no one single JavaScript function. Okay, because we just declare the relationship between the data and we execute them lazily. Okay, and it's really, really, really beautiful, and it's really, really, really convenient. Okay, there is like almost no logic. Okay, really easy to read, really easy to refactor. We could we could use all that we did, we could easily use it like as a general list, we're now generalizing the type, moving this on the common moving the presentation on a common module, with a little bit of refactoring, we can really like save a lot of time and really work like pro, okay, like pro guys. Okay, this will give you a lot of satisfaction. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you're gonna use it. Let me know in the comment what you think. Okay, bye bye.